So I'm Janet Hughes. I'm the Head of Policy and Engagement for the Identity Assurance Programme in the Cabinet Office. And that means I'm responsible for the policy issues and also building the pipeline of services that are going to use identity assurance over the coming months and years. So that's my job. But my job here today is I'm going to show you some slides which are screenshots of the product. And what this is our prototype. This is the prototype we use to test our product with users. So this is in private beta now, which means that in order to use the service, you need an invitation. And there's only one service currently connected, but it works in real life with real users from end to end. And it's that's what we call private beta. When it's in public beta, it will be available for more services to use, and you won't need an invitation to use it. So this is what it looks like. I've turned up because I want to renew my driving license, and at a point in that service, I come to this page where it encourages me to sign into Gov.uk. And either I need to register, or I need to sign in if I've already registered. This page is unusual on Gov.uk because it's not a transactional page, it's an information page, and it's actually designed to slow the user down, to encourage the user to understand two things which are unusual about this service. The first one is that we're going to ask you to prove your identity online, which is not something people are particularly familiar with. They're used to setting up an account, which takes 45 seconds. That's my email address, here's my password, maybe my mobile phone number, done. And what we're trying to do here, obviously, is something much deeper than that and verify that the user is who they say they are to a defined level of confidence. So we want to get the user to understand that to some degree. And we also want to get them to understand that they're going to need to choose from a number of different providers, which is another unusual aspect of this service. So this page is designed to get you to think, this is a bit unusual, maybe I'll slow down and read it. So this button here, which says register by choosing a certified company rather than just next, makes you stop and think, what's going on here? Maybe I'll read the text above after all. So now we come to actually setting up the profile. So what we're doing here to help users choose their identity provider is asking them to select the different evidence that they are able to provide. And then these are the identity providers here, and they will become bolder as you select evidence type so you can see which identity provider is likely to be able to complete the registration process for you. So this does two things. One, it helps users to get on a quick journey that's likely to be successful, but also it encourages providers to provide a wide range of evidence. So having chosen, we're going to, in this instance, assume I've chosen the post office. This is a mock-up of the post office service. It may not necessarily look like this, but this is to illustrate what the journey looks like for users. So the first step in the journey is setting up my login credentials. And the second step is to set up what's going to be my matching data set. So that's my name, address, date of birth, and gender, and historical data where that's relevant and available and lawful, so not in gender, but in address and name and date of birth. So that's the data that the identity provider is now going to verify about me. And they're going to verify that that identity exists and that it's probably me at the keyboard. Probably because we're talking about level 2 identity, which is on the balance of probabilities, I am who I say I am. So I've entered that data. Now I'm going to be asked to prove it. So there's three elements to this process. One is evidence, so that I'll be asked to assert some evidence about my identity, and I'll also be asked some knowledge-based questions to show that, to link me to that evidence. The second is activity history, so the provider will be checking in the background to make sure that I've been active over a period of time, to show that I'm alive and real. And the third is counter-fraud checks. So here are some examples of knowledge-based questions, which are based on credit reference agency files primarily. So in this instance, I'm being asked numbers from my current account, who my gas is with, and the names of other person on my electoral register. But we obviously haven't defined what these questions should be. We've set the standards, and the identity providers have to meet them. So I've done that, and now I'm going to provide some evidence. And what this enables the providers to do is to check in real time. Once I've given my passport or driver license details, or both, they can send those to the relevant agency and say, does this set of data match a valid record in your database, yes or no? And the provider will receive a yes or no answer. And that can be done instantly, which is one of the things which means that this process can be completed online rather than you having to send something in the post or go down to a counter service. So this is how that works at the moment. We're still developing this now, and it'll be available later in the summer. This is an example to show you the driver license screen. One of the issues with this is getting users actually to complete this process accurately, which turns out to be quite difficult. So the challenge here with the design is to make it as clear as possible what's required and make it as difficult as possible to do it wrong. So, for example, check your answers exactly match your driving license there. Asking the users to check again. So now we've gone through the process of checking the evidence. In the background, they've checked my activity history and my counter-fraud records. And now what we're doing is setting up my second step for my authentication. So in this instance, it's a mobile phone number, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any other way of providing protection against replay attacks, so that if somebody's stolen my credentials, there's they can't get in without this second step. So we're setting that up now. Sending me a code. There I am, I've registered. What happens now is the identity provider sends this matching data set that I mentioned, name, address, date of birth, and gender, to the service provider, and they need to find me in their records. So I'm signing in. This is my second step. And what's happening on this screen is they've got several records, which could be me, because I've moved house, or sometimes I'm Jan, sometimes I'm Janet. So they need to find out which of those records matches me, because the whole point of this exercise is to give me access to the right records that government holds. So what the DVLA is doing is asking me for my driver license number, but the HMRC might ask me my national insurance number, or if you're a farmer, they might ask you for your special farming reference number. It's up to the service provider. What the question is here, the purpose is for them to disambiguate among a number of records and give me access to the right one. And there we are, I'm done. I am Gareth Bale, and that is my record. And there it is. So that's the demo. That should take, for most people, about 10 minutes. We're still in early stages, obviously, of testing how long it takes, but for most people, they should complete the process online and in less than 10 minutes. No single piece of evidence or knowledge-based verification or any other thing is sufficient on its own. And the way the standards operate is that you have to get this range of evidence across citizen, money, and living. You have to check my activity, and you have to do knowledge-based questions, and you have to do counter-fraud checks. So although individual elements of evidence, it might be easy for me to obtain it or compromise it, taken together, they give you the defined level of confidence, and that's the way that the model works. That's that. 10 minutes, yeah. There you go.